Today, we will tell the story of Steve Young, a Super Bowl winning quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers and one of the most notable quarterbacks in NFL history. In the 90s, fans of the NFL witnessed stellar play from the game's most glorified position. There were many iconic names of quarterbacks that played in that era, the likes of Warren Moon, Phil Simms, Jim Kelly, John Elway, Troy Aikman, Brett Favre, Dan Marino, and Joe Montana. Among them was a revolutionary player. He was an intelligent mind, an accurate passer, and a dangerous runner. Shockingly, he was not drafted into the NFL at first. He didn't even get to start for the 49ers until his 8th season in the league. He had an interesting journey, a slow start, and like many of the greats, adversity brings forth some of the most inspiring stories. We aim to achieve the ultimate question: how good was Steve Young actually? Steve Young was born on October 11, 1961 in Salt Lake City, Utah, to his parents LeGrand and Sherry Young. In high school, he attended Greenwich High School in Greenwich, Connecticut. In his junior season, he took over the starting job and saw instant success at the position. He was named to the CIAC All-State team. Young played in a run-heavy offense in high school, which worked to his betterment as he struggled with his accuracy early on. In his time at Greenwich, he threw for 1,220 yards while completing only 41% of his throws. He also ran for 1,928 yards on 267 carries and was named as the co-captain of the team. Along with football, Young also played basketball and baseball, where he was a co-captain for both teams as well. After proving himself to be an elite all-around athlete in high school, Young received an immense amount of attention from the University of North Carolina, as they ran the option offense at the time. Despite this, he decided to stay near home and attend BYU, where the coaching staff strongly considered switching him from a quarterback to a defensive back. Coming into his time at BYU, Young had a long road in front of him to earn the starting quarterback spot. When asked about his early days at the school, he was quoted as saying, "I started as the 8th quarterback at BYU. Despite coming in as the 8th string, Young would find his way onto the field in his sophomore season. He would play a minimal role. Young would throw for 731 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, while picking up 233 yards on the ground and completing only 50% of his passes. While Young would only be the second-string option this season, it was clear that he would still have to make some major improvements to his accuracy to be an NFL-caliber talent. BYU finished the season with a record of 11-2. In his junior season, with the departure of Jim McMahon, Young was in line to take over the starting spot. He took full advantage of this opportunity and finished the year throwing for 3,100 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 18 interceptions, while completing 62.7% of his passes and rushing for 407 yards on the ground. Along with this, he was named as the WAC Offensive Player of the Year. With Young at the helm, BYU would finish the season with a record of 8-4 and finish their season with a 47-17 loss to Ohio State in the Holiday Bowl. In his final season at BYU, Young would establish himself as one of, if not the most talented quarterback in all of college football. He finished the year with 3,902 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions through the air, while completing 71.3% of his passes and picking up an additional 444 yards on the ground. With a major spike in his touchdown to interception ratio, he was once again a clear choice for the WAC Offensive Player of the Year award. BYU would finish the season with a record of 11-1 and ended their year with a 21-17 win over Missouri in the Holiday Bowl. Coming into the draft, scouts were head over heels for Young. He was thought of as a quarterback who could beat you with his arm, mind, and/or legs. Along with this, the huge improvements that he made to his accuracy greatly lessened worries about his throwing accuracy and turnover problems. Almost any gripe that was sent Young's way coming into the draft was in reference to his year backing up McMahon and his first season as a starter. Without nitpicking, there was not anything negative that could really be said about his final year at BYU, and scouting reports around this time exemplified this. Young was a no-brainer to be the first overall pick of the 1984 NFL Supplemental Draft, selected by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After winning the starting spot with just 5 weeks left in the season, Young would greatly struggle with the lack of talent around him. He led the Buccaneers to a record of 3-16 during his season and a half as the team's starting quarterback. Along with this, his passing stats were suffering greatly, even when compared to his worst years at BYU. Through his first 2 years in the league, he had thrown for 3,217 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 21 interceptions, while completing only 53.3% of his passes. This would be his final season with Tampa Bay, and there's a strong chance that if he had remained with them there, we would not be talking about him today. Back in 1987, the league was run a lot differently than it is today. Quarterbacks were not nearly as valuable as they are today, and as a result of this, Young was traded to the San Francisco 49ers for a 1987 second and fourth round pick. Through his next 5 years in the league, Young would serve as Montana's backup until he eventually took over the starting job as Father Time began to catch Montana. In the following 7 seasons, Young would quickly emerge as one of the top quarterbacks that the league had to offer. Beginning in the 1992 season, he led the 49ers to a 14-2 record while throwing for 3,465 yards, a league-high 25 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. He was named as the league's MVP, the Offensive Player of the Year, a member of the All-Pro First Team, and made the Pro Bowl. In the postseason, they would be eliminated in their second matchup of the playoffs against the Dallas Cowboys by a final score of 30-20. Young and the 49ers would have another very successful season in 1993. He once again had a strong year through the air, throwing for 4,023 yards, a league-high 29 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions, and leading the team to a 10-6 record. However, history would repeat itself, and once again, San Francisco would be bounced in their second matchup of the postseason by the Dallas Cowboys. The following year would be Young's best as a starter in the NFL. Individually, he threw for 3,969 yards, a league-high 35 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, while completing a league-high 70.3% of his passes. He won the second MVP award of his career and led the 49ers to a 13-3 record. In the postseason, their run of dominance would continue and would end in a Super Bowl victory over the San Diego Chargers by a final score of 49-26. Young would be named the MVP of the game after throwing for 325 yards. In the 1995 and 96 seasons, he would suffer some injuries and was unable to make it through either year in its entirety. In those 2 seasons, he threw for 5,610 yards, 34 touchdowns, and 17 interceptions, while completing 67.2% of his passes and leading the team to a record of 17-6 as a starter. In the postseason in both of these years, the 49ers would be eliminated prior to the NFC Championship. In his first healthy season back in 3 years, Young once again proved himself as one of the league's premier talents. He threw for 3,029 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, while completing a league-high 67.7% of his passes. However, once again, the 49ers would have their title hopes cut short and were eliminated in their second matchup. The 1998 season would be the final of Young's career, in which he served as the starting quarterback for a whole season. He led the 49ers to another impressive 11-4 record while throwing for 4,170 yards, a league-high 36 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. In his final trip to the playoffs, Young would once again take a loss in his second matchup, this time coming at the hands of the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-18. Young would only make it 3 games into the 1999 season before his career was put to a screeching halt due to repeated concussions. This would be a very sad way for his career to end, as he was still playing at a high level despite getting off to a slow start in the 1999 season. Young would get another opportunity to be a starting quarterback with the Denver Broncos. However, he would turn down the offer. Young retired with 7 appearances in the Pro Bowl, 3 appearances on the All-Pro team, 3 Super Bowl titles, 2 MVP awards, 2 Offensive Player of the Year awards, 1 Super Bowl MVP award, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2005. After his time in the league, Young has remained close to the game. He has spent time at ESPN as an analyst and is currently helping his daughter coach her girls' flag football team. Steve Young's career totals do not fully do him justice. In terms of pure talent, he was one of, if not the best, of the 1990s. Had he gotten the chance to spend the entirety of his career in San Francisco, he likely would have comparable numbers to some of the other all-time greats. However, it could also be argued that if he never spent time backing up Joe Montana, he would not have developed into the legend we know now. Regardless of the hypotheticals, Young's greatness is undeniable, and his individual talent paired with his leadership ability is a perfect combination that every franchise wishes for. Thank you for watching The Halftime Show.